What's up, Cradle fans and other fans of other things I talk about on this podcast? This is the Information Requested podcast, and I am solo casting today because, well, Remixed is in Germany doing Germany things, and the time difference is big. Plus, I have a lot I want to talk about in terms of like stuff that's been going on in Cradleverse. DragonCon just happened, Dreadgod finished, Waybound has had an excerpt read out loud at DragonCon. The next series, Beyond Cradle, or the space fantasy with the working title of Plasmabolts, has been talked about publicly now, despite the fact that it's super rough and rough in the sense that everything's subject to change. There's a lot to talk about, and so I'm solo casting today. And instead of making like a general video like "Ooh, DragonCon," I'm doing it in this podcast form because, let's be honest, they're not that different, and calling it a podcast gives me an excuse to talk about a bunch of different things. So that's what's been going on. Or that's not what's been going on, but that's what's going to be going on today. What has been going on is that I have been slow to make videos for a bunch of reasons, mainly because it just hasn't been a priority. Um, and Remix has been in a different continent. And yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of videos to make now, though. So I'll be making, I'm just going to announce what videos are upcoming. Oh, I forgot to put this up there. Information requested. Sweet. So I'll be making a video on where I expect the story to go in Waybound, what I hope to see in Waybound, and then I might make a video a little bit later talking about all the different plot lines that I hope get addressed in Waybound. At DragonCon, we'll announce that there was going to be a longer beta reading period for that sort of thing, to like try and figure out all the things that get to go into the epilogue, like the massive epilogue part. So anyway, I might make a video about what I hope to see in hopes that the powers that be see it and think about it. So that's coming. Then I don't know what else. I don't know what other videos, but there's always videos to be made. So that's upcoming. Anyway, let's get into the juice of why you're here, probably to hear about what happened at DragonCon. DragonCon, if you don't know, is a convention held in Atlanta, Georgia every single year. And I go every single year, have been going for, it would be 8 years now, but I think it's 7 due to 1 year being missed due to the pandemic, because everyone missed it. Will goes to this convention every year too. And it is because Will, okay, now I'm going to be talking about some history, but it's because Will goes to this convention and I go to this convention every year that we originally crossed paths, and that got me into Cradle, and now I make videos about Cradle. So DragonCon is kind of like a keystone to me being a part of this community. So I go every year, and I think it's the main convention to go to if you want to meet Will, talk to Will, interact with him and his family, which is probably 2/3 of Hidden Gnome Publishing at this point, and just meet other fans. I think it's the best place to go. I don't know of any other convention that the Hidden Gnome team goes to every year, but they definitely go to DragonCon every year. And this year they had a 4-hour panel outside of the main con hotels. But the hotel, anyway, I'm not going to go into that. But like they pick a good hotel. They go to the Embassy Suites every year, and it's a good hotel because it's away from all the main hotels, and they get a huge conference room to themselves. And this year they did a 4-hour panel, 4 hours, which is cool. They split it up in like the first hour was like Q&A. The second hour was, okay, and I could be wrong on this because I don't remember specifically, but like the first hour was definitely Q&A and just like general like hanging out. The second hour was Will giving updates on book projects and things. I think it might have been Q&A as well, but there was an hour where he did a couple things related to his upcoming work. There was an excerpt from Waybound. There was he talked about concepts for his new series in that hour, and then the final hour was people could get things signed if they wanted to, which is cool because you can bring something up to get signed and have like a one-on-one conversation with Will for a short period of time. That was cool and that was popular. But let's get into like the actual stuff from the meetup. In terms of like what questions were asked, there wasn't anything truly canonically like world shifting. There were a lot of questions asked that were interesting, but the community already knew as a whole. One question that was asked by not a committee in like via or by way of Condra. So Condra asked not a committee. Not a committee was there. Asked the question of, does Serial have like family on her home world? And I believe the answer. So I know the answer was yes, but I don't know how certain Will was with this. So this could be like grain of salty. Don't take it as canon. But not only did she leave descendants, those descendants became like a major clan or faction or sect on that world, and they're still they're so powerfully present on that world, like even now. So that was cool. But the thing that I think everyone cares about is this, the excerpt from Waybound, which no one knew was happening. Even Sam, Will's brother, was like, "What?" Even he hadn't heard anything from Waybound. So keep in mind, and Will gave this caveat, he was reading himself from a rough draft, first draft version. In Will speak, that means that it's his worst writing ever, but in translated to normal speak, it's pretty polished because he's been doing it for a while. So he read an excerpt from Waybound. Spoilers incoming. Skip to the next section of the video if you don't want spoilers for Waybound. They're not really that spoiler, but they're kind of spoilery. Anyway. All right. 3, 2, 2, 1, 0. Blast off. All right. So they're in the time chamber, and Lyndon gathers everyone to him, and there's some internal like dialogue between he and Dross about how he feels really awkward about calling everyone together because he still has the mindset of a sacred artist that was weaker than everyone else. But he's now stronger than everyone else in there by a large margin. And now he has to like show them so that he can help train them. And so he gives a little speech. He's very nervous about it, about how they need to do some like, it's like aura training, not really aura training, but like spiritual pressure training. Like if you're dealing with the spiritual pressure of a monarch during a fight and you're not used to it, you're going to die. And so he has everyone lined up. Orthos, Little Blue, Mercy, Zeal, Yaren, everyone's lined up. And he tells them all like, yo, this is going to suck and you're going to hate me, but just know, I mean you no harm. As soon as you give up, the pressure will go away immediately. And everyone is determined to go through it. The interesting thing is, though, then it switches perspectives to each of the individual characters as they experience Lyndon's like spiritual pressure, and it goes through their thought process before they eventually get crushed and have to quit. I won't tell you the order that it happens in, but there was some humor in there. Things. I mean, it was a good scene. There were several times where everyone laughed, and it's so fun watching people laugh at Will's writing while Will's writing is being read to them, because it kind of proves to him that, hey, this isn't the worst thing ever. This is good. So yeah, that was fun. But yeah, that's all the scene was. It was Lyndon starting a process of training them to deal with spiritual pressure at a level they're not used to, so that they're somewhat immune to it, or at least used to it when they end up fighting the Weeping Dragon. So that was cool. That was the excerpt from Waybound that no one expected, no one prepared for. I don't. I mean, I'm sure someone tried to record it, but I haven't been paying attention. That's just me recapping it from memory while letting you know what happened without overly spoiling it. If you really want to know like the order that they collapsed in, you can, I don't know, message me on Discord, I guess. That's fine. And I'll tell you. But I don't want to put that in the video because it's whatever. I want everyone to enjoy what they want to enjoy when they want to enjoy it. All right. Next up, another thing that wasn't really I guess this one was more expected than the excerpt from Waybound, because I was going to ask the question, and I asked the question during the Q&A, and he's like, he should have said WAFA, like wait and find out, because he was going to do it later. But so this is cool, and all this is subject to change. This could potentially be spoilery, but I think it's going to be in the like the concept of the whole series, so it's going to be part of the first book. Anyway, Cradle is the story of someone who starts from the bottom, like they're the weakest and they have to somehow progress to the top. The space fantasy is going to involve a character that is overpowered. They're already overpowered. And I believe in this iteration, if it is an iteration, pretty sure it's an iteration, but unconfirmed. In this iteration, everybody gets like one branch of magic and like one specific spell. But the way that they use that spell can vary depending on their own talents, their creativity. I'm assuming their willpower, because that's a constant in this multiverse. And with that one spell, that's the magic that they can do. The main character, by way of a cloning technique, or maybe like cloned at birth, I don't know, some galactic accident or happenstance happens to where there are 7 of him. He gets 7 different spells, and then he's able to merge into one. That might be part of his backstory. But Will brought up the concept of a guy, or of a main character, who has 7 spells because they were once 7 bodies. Now they're one. And he's like way overpowered because of that. And there's some like fundamental powers in the universe that are so strong that everybody just consider them to be like the laws of physics. And there's some great heroic journey to like change the status quo, perhaps. Either way, it sounds awesome. Very excited for it. I think we're gonna get it, the book 1 of this, before we get Waybound. I think. Still unsure, but that's what it sounded like at DragonCon. That Waybound, the cover was revealed, which I'll go back to excerpt from Waybound. The cover was revealed, and I got a snarky signature on the back here that I'll share in a minute. But it's beautiful. Cereal's Marble, probably one of my favorite covers. It's another blue cover, though. There's a lot of multiple blues, but Cereal's Marble is beautiful, and I like it. But yeah, the Waybound cover was revealed because I think it was made a long time ago, so they could reveal it, no problem. But the book, again, I think will come out after the first space book comes out. So there's that. Go team. All right, we're moving on to other Will Meetup things. But yeah, everyone could get something signed. I got something signed, and I think it's fitting. Will wrote, "You're wrong, Will White." I think that's beautiful and fitting. Go team. all in all, like the meetup was really good. Uh, Everyone seemed really happy, and he gave so much of his time that I think a lot of the people that showed up were pretty blown away by it. Dakota Kraut made an appearance. A couple other people made an appearance. I think several authors from Mountaindale Press came to hang out, so that was really cool. Cool of them. But yeah, that's probably most of the updates I can give on DragonCon because it's 4 hours of just hanging out. Yeah, and then everyone else was pretty busy all con, etc., etc. So I was gonna make a video on my thoughts on Dreadgod, this book right here, but I never did because I don't know. I made a video too close to the book releasing where the back cover had already been written out, and yeah, I'd be basically I don't know. I got lucky, but the book was good. It like set up a lot of things. There were some areas, some things that I wanted in the book that were there, but not there as much. But that's just because I'm a fan reading it, and I want what I want. But what I didn't expect, I called it out that it was a possibility, but I didn't really believe it was going to happen. Was that Lyndon became the Dreadgod? So like the Condor principle, happened, and Lyndon became a Dreadgod. But I honestly thought it was going to be Rhaegon Shen and Lyndon. Something else was going to happen with Lyndon. Um, I didn't expect that, and that was cool. So we knew that he was going to be fighting the Silent King because of the halo. And he, boy, did he! Oh God, Emrys is such a badass. She's not even a fighter, but she's like a fate manipulator, but like a good fate manipulator, unlike a certain hound up in the skies. But I don't know. All in all, I liked it. I've been looking forward to a book where Lyndon becomes OP. And even though we've had snippets of that, like there was some of that in Winter Steel, there was some of that in Reaper, but this one he becomes a Dreadgod. He's effectively Monarch level now, although maybe a little weaker. But he's like I don't know. This was also talked about this question, like how strong is he? He's way stronger than a Herald. Way stronger than a Herald. But he went about fusing with his spirit in the hacky Dreadgod way. He didn't actually, I mean, he didn't manifest his remnant and then merge with it, like winning the contest of wills. He just used his, slumbering wraith arm to steal the power of the Silent King, absorb it, parse it, etc., etc. He already had kind of the part of the conceptual thing of strength. So him taking out the Silent King or absorbing the Silent King was really cool because he supercharged Dross. He supercharged like his life aura, and then once the Silent King died, and like the power was spread out amongst them, that hit him. He counted as a Dreadgod, and then the process happened. Like you all read it, you read the words. It's pretty straightforward. Lyndon became a Dreadgod. Now it's different because he wasn't created as a Dreadgod. He's a human, progressed normally, became a sage, then hacked his way into like the Dreadgod Herald experience. So who the hell knows what's going to happen? He's probably, I don't know. Like I think the Dreadgods cannot ascend. They are part of the world. They're part of the fabric of the world. They were created using an energy that occurs when some shit happens in the world, etc., etc. Their existences are anchored to the existence of monarchs, among other things, and they're bound to the labyrinth in some way. And the labyrinth is like is like a core part of what makes Cradle. So Lyndon might have some trouble later on. I don't think he will. I think he can still ascend because he was a human and he took their Dreadgod skills, but he's still linked with them. So I'm not sure that might be a plot point of Waybound, honestly, is like Lyndon trying to ascend. Everyone else can ascend if they do things normally. I think he can still ascend, but maybe he's going to have some trouble. I don't know. Who knows? That might add some drama to the epilogue. But I'm going to make a whole video about some of my thoughts and theories around Waybound, or of plot points that I think are going to be in Waybound. So I won't extrapolate too much of that here. But we're almost at the end of the series, y'all. So like a lot of the things that I was theory crafting long ago, we now have answers to, or enough information to disprove or prove them. A lot of the theories have been proven to be true, but now we already know. So in many ways, I'm starting to feel like I'm just along for the ride as well. I'm just a normal fan who hasn't put too much thought into things, enjoying the books as they come. Because at this point we have enough information that there's not a whole lot that one can theorize on outside of plot points, just general end of the series plot points. So I don't know. That's kind of how I feel, and I think that's kind of why I've slowed down on making videos. To be quite honest, I feel like there's not a whole lot left to be said. But of course, I go to DragonCon, I meet a bunch of you. Several of you tell me how much you like my videos. So I'm like, all right, well, you like them. I'll keep making them until they start. I mean, I don't want them to suck, but I'll keep making them until they start to suck. I'm getting kind of obsessed with poker right now. So I've thought about, I don't know, making poker videos or streaming poker on Twitch, but I haven't yet. This channel isn't for that, but I don't know. We'll see how things go. Normal information on the normal information requested podcast, I tend to talk about what else I'm reading right now. And so I'm going to talk about that for a minute. Remind you all that all of the books that I read and that Remixed has read are linked somewhere where you can easily get to. So that link will be in the description below. But lately, I've been reading The Primal Hunter. This is by Zogarth. I've read all of it that has been released, and I started like a month and a half ago. So the Primal Hunter is a lit RPG style, but it's like a system. I'm not gonna say system apocalypse, but it's a system like where a system takes over and converts everything. It's like that, but it's interesting because the main character has a bloodline, and his bloodline gets recognized by a lot of gods, and so like his tutorial becomes all crazy. That's book one. It's good. I like it a lot. It's very power fantasy-esque, but it's enjoyable. Then I've read all of Defiance of the Fall. I think I was already reading this during the last one, but I read all of it, including all of the released Patreon chapters. I am almost completely up to date with He Who Fights with Monsters on the Patreon. I am kind of way behind on Legend of Randedly Ghost Hound, but plans to pick that back up. And I am 10 chapters into the unreleased Werekey Chronicles that you can read the chapters of on Sarah Lynn's Patreon. I believe Bonds Fungi was recently released, so that's book 4 or 5. Which one? I'm going there right now. So they're book 5. Yeah, Bonds Fungi is book 5. Chasm Falls book 4. Archcrafter book 3. Rainhorn book 2. Soulhorn book 1. Still strongly recommend that, but let me share my screen real quick. So let me get this off the screen. These are all the books, and this are all the series that we've recommended on this so far. So when I just checked on Soulhome, I clicked this, and then all the Soulhome books on Amazon. So these are all Amazon links. Primal Hunter take you to the 4 books that have been released on Amazon. Now there is a lot of Primal Hunter chapters and Defiance. Probably a lot of these are on Royal Road, but I think a month, maybe 15 days before a book is released on Amazon, the chapters have to come off of Royal Road because Amazon sucks. And so the chapters come down, and then you have to get the book. But the books that haven't been released, those chapters are on Royal Road. So just a heads up. And then you have these other books that we've talked about in the past that I won't get too into. Although I think 2 books in the Completionist Chronicles were recently released. Invent, and then the next one is about to come out. So Invent was recently released. I started it. I am not too far in because I got it early by, I can't remember, buying it on his website. And I forgot how much I rely on Whisper Sync. I like to go into my Kindle and then press play and then have it like read the book out loud while like I follow along with the text. I do that a lot with series that I don't reread often. If that makes sense. So I don't do that with Cradle. I read Cradle straight up, then I listen to the book, and then in future rereads I might do the combo. But yeah, I like to do that. I like to do the Whisper Sync situation. But I didn't have that with Invent, so I don't even remember where I am in the book. Because the app that supports like indie people doing their own stuff isn't that great. And that it doesn't, you can have the audiobook and the Mobi file or whatever, or EPUB file, and they don't sync up. They're 2 different things. So either way, I think a new Completionist Chronicles book came out and another one's about to come out. So that's worth looking into. 1,000 Li book recently came out, but I know a lot of people are mad at Tao Wong, but I think Tao Wong's a good dude. All the copyright stuff, I think, I don't know why, but it appeared that there was a lot to lose and not a lot to gain in that situation. But I enjoyed book 7. I didn't. Well, actually, that makes me. Book 7 was interesting, but I feel like not a lot happened. But there's a lot of fighting and some cool shit. Book 6 was awesome, and then book 8 should be awesome. I don't know. Book 7 wasn't bad, but I just like it felt like it was the first third of a book, but it was long. Anyway, not hating on Tao Wong. Support him. He works hard. What else? A friend of mine recently got completely caught up on Dungeon Crawler Carl. I only read book 1, but he seemed to like the whole thing. So whatever. Lots of good shit out there for y'all to read. I know people are always asking for book recommendations, and I made a pretty little page for y'all. So go watch it and go enjoy it. So that is, I think we're almost at 30 minutes. So it'll be a shorter podcast today, but it's a solo cast. Let me know in the comments, please, if you're cool with me doing solo casting. I know Remixed is. He doesn't care. He just wants to be on whenever he has time so that he can talk about his passion for this stuff. So yeah, let me know what you think about the solo cast. Should I do more solo casts? Let me know what plot points you hope to see in Waybound. Like what plot points you hope to see closed, like stuff that you've wanted to have some resolution to. Of course, this is like it's gonna be like a communal push for like, we want to see this, and maybe it'll be in the epilogue. So don't get mad if you tell me your deepest, darkest desires for Cradle and it doesn't happen for you. Okay, we can only beg so loudly. You know, our screams and our desires can only be heard a little bit from Mount, Wilverse, up in the skies above Florida somewhere. So those 2 things. Let me know what you think about a solo cast. Let me know what kind of plot points you want to see. And then third, I don't know, would it piss you off if I posted a video and you're subscribed to this channel and it wasn't about fantasy fiction? Would that bother you? I'm guessing yes, but let me know one way or another, because anyway. So that's all for this video, y'all. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I've missed you. Be nice to me in the comments. Goodbye.